to Super Speedway.
Hang on. Stupid motherfucker! Cool 5. He's a fucking idiot. Outside. Another one outside here. Fucking broke again. Piece of shit, motherfucker. God damn it! It broke that right rear again, so. What the fuck is he doing, man? That was a dick move by him for sure. I wasn't even fucking close. I mean, I'm like way outside. Next time, hold your wheel, turn left.
Welcome to episode 225 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, how's it going?
Well, I'm surprised you got the audio from me every time I hang up the podcast. I must have left the recorder on last week.
Right. So there was debate before we did the podcast today on whether to put the bleeps in or have the raw audio. I really wanted to go with the raw audio, but I didn't want to click the explicit tag. You know, we try to be semi-family friendly here, so we bleeped out the F words, but I think everybody kind of gets the gist of it.
Apologies if you're listening to us on your drive to school tomorrow morning.
Right. If you're not aware, that's Chase Elliott's radio from Sunday after his little run-in with Kyle Larson, which we will get to. Yeah. So how's it going, James?
It's good, man. We're surviving, living. That was a fantastic race on Sunday. I am living the dream, basically.
Yeah.
How about you?
About the same. I mean, you can't really complain about what we got to see on Sunday and Saturday, unless you're not down for 4 hours of Xfinity racing on Saturdays. Otherwise, it's a pretty good weekend. So, I guess we can get right into it. We had the Wise Power 400 this weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And James, how long do you think it's going to take Kyle Larson to figure this package out? Oh, wait. Too late. He already did.
Yeah, he hadn't heard from him all day. And it didn't matter. There he was, there at the end, figuring it out. What is it now? 5 of the last... What is it? 7 or 8 races he's won or something like that?
Yeah, I don't even care to look. It's
going back into last year. Oh yeah, he's there. He's there.
Yeah, yes he is. Yeah, I was hoping that maybe it'd take a little bit longer for him to figure things out, but definitely figured things out at California. Historically a good track for Kyle anyway, but
right. Yeah, I mean, he didn't lead a whole heck of a lot until late. I mean, 28 laps total on the day, but
right.
The victory lane celebration was definitely muted, and I don't know if that had anything to do with what happened with Chase, or if he's just the board man out there, just out there getting it done and then moving on to what's next. Where am I racing next? I mean,
yeah.
Here's my trophy, here's my check. Where do I go now?
Yeah, we don't need robot Kyle Larson. We need to see some emotion, Kyle. Come on, at least pretend that it matters that you won.
Right.
I will argue that he probably did manage to take out probably his best competition after Tyler Reddick took himself out by putting Chase Elliott in the wall.
Whatever the heck that was. Yeah.
So let's talk about the Chase Elliott incident, James. Larson's battling with Joey Logano for the lead. Chase Elliott gets a run on the outside. Larson takes a swerve to the right and puts old Chase in the wall. And as you heard during the intro, Chase was not particularly pleased about that turn of events.
Nope.
And we don't know how Larson felt about it after the race because Fox didn't ask him the question when they had him on the start-finish line after the race.
Yeah.
But we did hear afterwards that Larson said that he didn't know he was up there. Larson basically threw his spotter under the bus for, I think, the second time in 2 weeks. Yeah. So let's start with the incident with Larson and Chase. You buy Larson's argument? Do you think it was an accident, or do you think he got over aggressive with the block?
Spotter came out and said it was his fault. Looked like a late block to me, but I'm not driving those things. So
right.
To me, late block, they're not gonna spin it that way, obviously. So, but that's what it looked like to me. What about you?
Yeah, I think it was a late block. I think I honestly don't think he expected Chase to be there. I think that we've kind of learned with this car, and we saw it this weekend, especially, that they get some pretty big runs and they come quick. There was a lot of that on the front stretch at California this weekend. So,
Yep.
I think it was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a mistake on Larson's part, no matter how you look at it. And I don't know, James, this is our defending champion. We've run 3 races this year, and we've got 3 Kyle Larson mistakes that have led to damaged race cars.
Sure.
So, I mean, you had him take out, I mean, I guess you could call the Haley thing a mistake. He mistakenly wrecked the wrong guy. But he did take Haley out at the Coliseum. He caused the wreck at Daytona, and now this one here with his own teammate. I don't know. Do you put anything on Larson there? I mean, he's cashing the check, so I guess it doesn't matter, right?
It don't matter to him. He doesn't seem to be bothered by it. Daytona, I don't know if I put that one on. That's just Daytona, I think. But what I will say though is, you've had some really good drivers make some pretty. We called Joey Logano a bonehead a little bit,
right,
at Daytona for what happened in the duels. So this to me just seems to be part of the learning process. Maybe can we chalk it up to that with this new car a little bit? I mean, was he being aggressive? Yeah. What? I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time with a lot of things right now because I feel like the drivers are still learning. And like you said, Eric, to second, what you said there about these cars closing up fast, I really think, in my personal opinion, that's really what happened there is, Larson was busy racing Joey and, really didn't put into his mind that Chase was going to be there, and all of a sudden he was there. So,
right.
I mean, drivers are going to make mistakes. I mean, you're, pedal to the metal at the heading into turn 1. That's going to happen,
Yeah. I mean, I think, it was, and of course, Door Bumper Clear is a spotter podcast, but there was certainly some reference put on some blame put on the spotter on Door Bumper Clear this week. And you could argue that 2 to 3 of these mistakes that we're talking about with Larson were spotter related, as well. And so when you're the spotter and you are admitting on social media that you screwed up, and you're the championship spotter, I mean, that doesn't bode real well for you continuing in that position for a lot longer. So I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. Honestly, I think if it wasn't teammates, we wouldn't even be talking about it. I think it just was an error in judgment. I don't think Larson, I don't think Larson's the type of guy who means to wreck anybody except apparently Justin Haley. So I don't think he intentionally wrecked his teammate. I don't think he intentionally put Chase in the wall. I do think he was trying to block him, and it was a late move, and it was too late. He just screwed up. He misjudged. But overall, I think, it's a racing incident. Now, the question that I ask after that is, how about old Chase Elliott and how he handled the situation? Because we heard the radio, but that's the radio. You're going to bitch on the radio. That's what drivers do. But then he also made a nice aggressive block on Larson when Larson was lapping him on the track later. He also either intentionally spun or not, depending on who you ask, to bring out the caution with Larson in the lead and potentially costing Larson the win. What do we think of that whole situation? Is Chase being a baby?
Eric,
come on, it's your chance to take a shot at him, James. I know you like it.
I know, but I can't because
really?
I can't blame him. No, I mean, you get cut off on the highway. What's your natural instinct to do, right? You get mad, you throw a fit, and you move on.
Come on. If Kyle Busch was throwing this fit, you would be all over it.
If somebody gets wrecked by somebody else, Eric, you're allowed to, I feel like you're allowed to give them the business a little bit.
Yeah.
I
don't have any problem with him blocking him down the front stretch, by the way.
Now this is me not fact checking myself, but I can't remember if I was super mad about the Bristol thing either, because that was a racing. I felt like that was a racing incident, and Chase kind of drug his feet a little bit, but this was a pretty aggressive block.
I think you threw Chase under the bus at Bristol.
I was I'm pretty sure I did too. But this one to me was just a, hey, I know what you did. I'm not going to wreck you, but I'm definitely going to make you, know that I'm upset. I don't think he was doing anything other than, just being a little bit of a diva on that one. Just like, hey man, I'm mad. I'm going to block you for a few thousand yards here on the front stretch and let you go. I think that's all that was, but he took him all the way to the grass.
He did.
So I just don't think he was going to wreck him by any means.
Did he spin out on purpose?
No, I'm not gonna do that.
No, you don't think so, huh?
No,
I don't
no,
know.
that car was broke.
I don't know. His gloves are pretty white. I mean, it looked a little fishy.
The wheel wasn't cocked to the right, which made it look like he was trying to hold on to it. But when he drove away, you could.
It looked fishy, man.
Yeah, and whatever that new piece is under the rear bumper, you could see it flopping around after that spin. So something was definitely broke. I'm not falling for the. He wasn't gonna spin gate his own teammate.
I don't know. DBC guys were pretty sure he spun on purpose. Except for TJ. TJ was not buying it, but
yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I don't think that's what's going on there. There's no way.
Do we see any of this spill over, or is this over with?
This is done. Yeah. This is done.
I don't see anything going to Vegas.
No, I mean we as much as we want feuds to continue on, especially when it's with teammates.
I would love to see these guys pissed off at each other every week.
There's gotta be I will say this though, Eric. We've talked about this. I think I've brought this up a handful of times on the podcast, but there's gotta be some underlying jealousy, some low boil between Chase, mostly I think from Chase's end versus Kyle Larson. I don't think Kyle Larson cares. I don't think Kyle Larson lets a lot of things bother him.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is I can guarantee you this is over on Kyle Larson's end.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He doesn't want a feud. Kyle Larson doesn't want a feud with anybody. That's just not his style. But Chase, on the other hand, seems to be pretty willing to pick up feuds with just about anybody. And he really feels still, I mean, we saw it at Bristol last year, really feels that he needs to prove himself despite being a champion and the most popular driver. And needs, I mean, we argued last year that he's sitting there talking about how he's not going to be pushed around and trying to make a stand for himself when he's a champion, and he shouldn't be doing that, but maybe he should be. Maybe he is getting pushed around.
Yeah. I mean, he's had run-ins with, the list is growing and growing on the guys.
And he's always on the losing end.
Yep, he got his butt kicked by Hamlin. He got the flat tire against Harvick. He's feuded with Larson a little bit here.
Yeah.
Who else is on that list? I feel like Joey Logano is probably on everybody's list at some point.
Yeah, everybody's mad at Joey usually.
Everybody's mad at Joey.
Joey's probably feuded with Joey, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, hell, Joey feuded with a spotter. I mean, for God's sakes.
Joey's been on a run of. He's got that smile just a flashing. The last few weeks, so he's having a good old time right now. But yeah, Chase. Part of me feels like Chase thinks he's already deserved the things that the greats have gotten, and he doesn't get it, and that's where he's had some of these struggles before. But he's a pretty cool customer too. I don't know.
Oh, he sounded cool on that intro.
Right. I know, but that's probably the most aggravated I've ever heard Chase.
I'm with you.
But I just think Jeff Gordon and Rick Hendrick are gonna make sure that this is for the most part. I think this is gonna be over. I mean,
dude, Jeff Gordon's been here. Jeff Gordon's lived this.
Oh yeah,
he's lived this rival with Jimmy Johnson coming in. I mean,
a monster of his own making.
Yeah, So if anybody can calm him down, if anybody can reason with him and be understanding at the same time, it's Jeff Gordon.
And what's Chase Elliott gonna do? He just signed an extension, and his
they both
teammate
did.
is and his teammate's the defending champion of the sport. So I mean, you're boxed in, bud. You signed a long-term deal with Hendrick Motorsports, and Kyle Larson ain't going anywhere either.
Nope.
So you got some work to do.
No, those two are going to be at that organization for a long time.
They'll figure it out, man.
Rick doesn't let people go unless he wants to. We talked about that last week.
Yep. They're not going to get to the point where they're wrecking each other. I'll tell you that.
No.
But they don't have to like each other to be teammates.
No, they don't have to cut each other any slack either. I mean, it is really interesting that we see this mix though, James, because Blaney was upset with Cindric last weekend, but look at what Penske did last weekend at Daytona. And worked together to guarantee that one of them was winning the race. And then you got two teammates, from the other powerhouse in the sport, feuding, essentially. So it's an interesting dynamic to see.
Well, and think about
Penske's, the iron collar, type of clean cut team and
dress shirts, haircuts. And
so you expect that from them. And I guess Hendrick is a little rougher around the edges. Your traditional, Southern NASCAR team. So I guess it makes sense.
Teammate feuds don't go anywhere. And there's a long history of teammate feuds in NASCAR. This is not a new thing.
Mike Skinner and Dale Earnhardt.
Is it? Yeah, Rusty Wallace and Jeremy Mayfield did not get along.
Yep.
Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth infamously did not get along. Remember there was the fake punch from Carl, and you mentioned Jeff and Jimmy, and there's a handful of others I'm probably forgetting. But those
Kyle and Denny.
Kyle and everybody he's raced with.
Yeah.
He's usually have some beef.
True.
So yeah, there's a lot of history there, but again, it never usually boils over. Although, Jeff and Jimmy got pretty aggressive with each other on the track too, at times, but never to the point where they were wrecking each other or anything like that. So I think this is probably where this goes.
Right. Other points to talk about in the race. We mentioned Tyler Reddick, wins both stages, had a tire issue. Tire went down. And then William Byron came out of freaking nowhere to take him out and clean him out the rest of the way. Major bummer for Tyler Reddick. I mean, this kid's going to win some races this year.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think we kind of all had him penciled in for California that he was going to run well here, but I think he even overachieved what we expected from him here.
Yep.
I know Homestead's a ways off this year because it's in the playoffs, but certainly put a big circle around that one for Tyler Reddick. This car and his driving style suit each other very well for these tracks where you run the wall because he can do it. So,
and good sign for Richard Childress Racing too.
Yeah.
Austin Dillon finished second, and he wasn't rim riding all day, but he stayed around, stayed relevant, and late pit stops and got himself up there. But yeah, super bummed for Tyler. I mean, he's had this happen a handful of times now in his Cup career where he's had a car that's capable of winning and something knocks him out, or in this case, the flat tire probably would have done him in for the most part. He probably could have battled back. It wasn't too late in the race when that happened, but once he got cleaned up by Byron, that was adios for his chances, which just sucks because again, super talented, and I know we're going to talk about the car a little bit, but yeah, like you said, Eric, car suits him. He's driving. He's able to rim ride. He was good. He was fast, pretty good on the restarts too. He was able to, I thought Eric Jones was the best restarter of the day, and I don't have the data to bet.
No, I think you don't need the data. I think we saw the data.
Well, what I was bummed about, since we're talking about it here, Eric Jones, the last two restarts took the outside line.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
I was screaming because he was awesome on the bottom.
Yep.
And I thought if he restart on the bottom, his car seemed to go down there. And at least, Reddick would always get back to him and make the pass. But, if late race restart, if he can get up there and hold some guys off, I thought he had a really good shot to win the race. But that was really cool, man. To see those guys up there.
Yeah. I mean, let's look at our top 10 here. And James, I'll ask you, is this California or is this the new car? You got Austin Dillon with the second place finish. You got Eric Jones, who finished third and was a factor all day, led 18 laps. Daniel Suarez finished fourth, thought he was going to have a chance at getting himself a win.
He was leading.
Yeah.
Leading.
And then you have, you got Daniel Hemrick, who finished ninth. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who was a factor all day, finished 10th. I mean, is this because of the car equalizing things? Is this California, or is it too early to know?
I think right now what we're seeing, Eric, is a combination of the car being, Eric, I think it's doing its job a little bit here. We've got a little, the top isn't the top just yet. I know Kyle Larson won this race, but he wasn't the best.
The top's always going to be the top, but the ceiling is a lot lower than it used to be.
Yeah, the ceiling is lower. And I thought the track, we're going to talk about this too, but the track being worn out and the car being new, it was a lot of driver talent showing up. I mean, the guys that are up there, Eric Jones driving that 43 car you're surprised to see him leading laps and doing what he was doing. But then you remember, oh, that's Eric Jones.
Right.
He's been here before, just with a different team. And it looks funny because he's in the 43 car. He shouldn't be here, but his talent says he should be here. Daniel Suarez, same thing. He's an Xfinity Series champion. We know he can drive. And now he's got a car that like you said, Eric, is closer to the ceiling than he's ever had before. And now he's in position on a late race restart to win this thing. So we had a ton of these guys up there. I mean, Chase Briscoe, we didn't even mention him.
Yeah.
He led 20 laps. He was up front, and some bad pit strategy kind of ruined that for him. He had a bad pit stop, and they tried to make up for it, and he felt like a rock.
Right.
But he was there. I mean, yeah, guys that we know are super talented, showing up front is pretty cool, and it's not just an organizational thing, I don't think, right now.
James, 32 lead changes in this race, 9 drivers.
Yeah.
32 lead changes at California. That's just incredible.
Yep.
Certainly the best California race we've seen in a long time. I will argue a lot of people have been saying that it hasn't been good, but we've had some pretty decent California races the last couple times we've been here. But this one was beginning to end just a great race. And I think, credit 50% of it to the track, but I think credit 50% of it to the car.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I'm concerned about is that it's just because the car is new, not necessarily because the car is just that good. I think once everybody gets a handle on this, then we might see that ceiling raise a little bit more. But it certainly, there are less areas that you can play in, and there's less areas that you're going to see people get advantages in, and I think that's going to even things out a little bit. And if you look at the top 10, you look at the guys who were up front, they're all wheelmen. These are all guys that can drive a race car, even if they're not necessarily in the best equipment every weekend.
Yep. And look at the guys who led laps over 12 or it's over 12, but over 10 laps, double digit laps.
Yeah.
William Byron, right? Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, Joey Logano, Eric Jones, and Kyle Larson all led over 10 laps. Those are some who's who of driver talent from their years in the truck series all the way up, into Cup. These guys are all really, really good, really, really talented. And it was just refreshing. Well, I mean, Eric, I spent the entire race rooting for Eric Jones so hard.
Too. I did once Reddick was out, because I wanted Reddick to win this thing. As much as I don't like to see a guy dominate, I want to see Reddick get his win. Plus, I want my prediction of him to be the first. I want him to get the win before some other guys get the win. Daniel Suarez tried to screw that up for us even more this week.
Yeah.
And Daniel Suarez, for the record, did not get credit for leading a lap because he did not lead at the start finish line, but he was ahead at one point. So, I mean, I think so far the car is living up to expectations on this front. There's some areas that we need some work in, and I think JGR might be one of the teams that needs to work on things a little bit with the overheating issues they were having. We saw them multiple times on pit road with leaf blowers under the hood trying to blow sand out of the cars.
Eric, to steal a topic from the teardown that I know you listened to as well.
Yeah.
This week, what are we gonna do when we get to Bristol? If this is already a problem, what are we gonna do?
I mean, I would assume at Bristol they're gonna be able to run the skirt or whatever they run over the front end. I assume. I'm just spitballing here. So that might help. But yeah, I don't. It's definitely a concern. It's not like the old days where you could just come in and peel off some tape. There's no tape on the front of these things anymore.
Yep.
It did sound like there is a device inside that they can use that they can adjust. So maybe it's just on them for having it closed off too much. I don't know quite how the particulars of that work. So it could be something they could fix easily. Hard to say at this point. Again, this is one of those things we're going to learn as we go with this car. Mm-hmm. California's a dusty track, and it was windy. There's a lot of trash at California for some reason. Yep. Michigan's another one that it must be the shape of the track, and the wind just creates trash on grills.
Darlington's very sandy.
Yeah, Darlington.
So yeah.
I mean, we're going to Las Vegas this weekend. We've seen plenty of dust blow. I mean, we've had dust storms at Las Vegas. So, and then Phoenix. So who knows what's going to happen with it? Certainly something they need to get a handle on, though. So, you've got in the notes, Cindric and Penske remaining fast. I thought Austin Cindric, I mean, he really impressed me this weekend because it's really, I say it's easy to go win Daytona, but it's easy to run up front at Daytona and then not back it up after that. We've seen a lot of drivers do that. And he backed it up with a strong performance with that car.
He might be here for a minute. Yeah. Threatening to win some races. And, we talked about Joey battling for the lead. And if the pit crew for Ryan Blaney doesn't lose him multiple positions every time,
what the heck, man?
He was good too. So yeah, you got, if you're Penske, you've got the 500 in the bank. You're Cindric, you're feeling good. You've got some wiggle room here. You're in the playoffs. and the whole contingent's looking good. And it took some. I know this is a family podcast, but it took some stones on qualifying because practice was a little bit wild and it was pretty hairy out there. And Austin Cindric went out there and put down a monster lap to get himself the pole. So yeah, he's here. That team looks good right now, really good.
Yeah. Let's talk about qualifying real quick. We don't have it in the notes, but we'll jump into that and we'll go back to some of the other topics. We had our first look at this new 15-minute practice, two group 15-minute practice, and then qualifying, 2 rounds of qualifying. Top 5 move on to the final round from each of the 2 rounds. And we saw a lot of excitement in practice and qualifying. We saw some cars spin out. We saw some cars in the wall. We saw Ross Chastain try to knock the wall down in turn 4.
Really pounded the wall.
That was the craziest looking hit I've ever seen. But we've seen hits like that at California before. Dale Jr. In that turn, and then Keselowski took a nice ride in turn 1 in an Xfinity car once too.
Yep.
So I guess first of all, what do we think? What do you think of the new practice qualifying combo, James? You like what you see? We wanted we wanted practice back. Okay, you like it?
Yeah, I like it.
I'm kind of mixed. I'm mixed on it. So,
here's what I like right now, Eric.
Yeah.
I don't want these drivers feeling comfortable at all.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And that's what we've got right now. And the car will stabilize over time. These teams will get better. Car will stabilize.
I tweeted that this week. I know that eventually these teams are going to get the hang of this thing, but I'm just going to really enjoy it when they don't have the hang of it because it's been fun.
This is great. I mean, NASCAR's got momentum on the audience side too, and we've got a nice little pop going right here. And let's not let these teams figure this car out for a few weeks yet. Let's keep the suspense going because I like it when Kevin Harvick goes out there and walls it, three quarters of the way into his first lap.
Well, and how about the fact that they then repaired that car? They said it took less time to repair that car than it would have taken to unload the backup car and have the backup car ready to go.
Yeah, that's a great sign for this car.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we're looking for, right?
Well, yeah, and teams are not bringing full fleets of backups.
Right.
There was, correct me if I'm wrong, there was one SHR backup car at the track. And other teams had to look at backup cars too. Ross Chastain, obviously, he really damaged it. So, that's we're still dealing with that parts shortage. So these drivers having to, they can't really go out there and push it. Some of them are though. Some of these drivers don't care.
Yeah.
And that's their job. I mean, their job is to give it all they got. But you got guys trying to save some stuff out there maybe. And when it gets to race day, it leads to some wild circumstances. So
interesting thing about the backup cars is it's kind of an interesting comparison is yesterday I stumbled across NASCAR has their race replays that they put on YouTube. And I stumbled across the 1987 Riverside 400, which was the second to last race at Riverside in California. And of course, again, this is just down the road from where Fontana is now. And they weren't bringing backup cars out there. Of course, it was 1987. They mentioned that Kyle Petty wrecked a car and they had to go take a show car and repurpose it for the race in that days. One. So there were a few of those back in the day, especially at a road course. Yeah. Speaking of which, actually, Rick Hendrick raced in that race. By the way, he raced in that one and he raced in the final race at Riverside. So
yeah, he was. He used to do the road races, which was pretty cool from time to time. Yep.
So anyway, I'm with you on that. So here's the thing, though, is I guess to me the 15-minute practice is like, what is the point? What are we getting out of the 15-minute practice? Because the teams can't change anything from that practice to qualifying.
Yep.
So they're going out and risking equipment to entertain the people that are watching. So you gotta
shake it down. You gotta shake that car down a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just do. You go to Eric. You worked at a dirt track. How long did they spend? Before the heat races started.
They did have a chance usually to go in and make some changes, maybe run another lap, or at least make changes before they ran the race. Right. Whereas you don't get to do that here.
Well, I mean, what can you? I guess what's the difference between 15 minutes and half an hour? You're going to get the same information.
Maybe instead of impounding the car after qualifying, we let them make adjustments before the race.
No.
All right.
No.
What
no,
about
don't make it easy. Don't make it easy on him.
So November Clear dropped a rumor that there's a rumor that they're going to extend practice.
That's fine. Don't let them make the changes though.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
Whatever. I don't let them be comfortable.
I just wonder from a fan standpoint, and I have not been to the track. Obviously, there's only been 2 races. From a fan standpoint, is it enough for me to make it worth having practice to get 30 minutes of practice total, 15 minutes per group, and then qualifying? Is that enough to make it worth it for me to spend money to come on a Saturday to watch practice?
I mean, on Saturday, you're not, I don't know. Well, on Saturday, your ticket's getting you, there's not many races where your ticket's not getting you the Xfinity Series show either. That's true.
That's true. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. I'm with you. I did feel like we needed practice back. I'm glad we have it back.
Me too. Yeah.
And
I'm glad we have it.
Definitely wanted qualifying back, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I guess I'm still on the fence. So, I mean, I guess for me, I did watch practice, and I probably wouldn't have if it had been 2 hours long. So I guess maybe it did what it's supposed to do. So
yeah,
I don't know. Let's talk about the new car. We got to see a little bit more of some of the quirks with it this weekend.
Well, Eric, this is my new segment I put in.
Yeah,
new car corner.
New car corner. There we go. James, you mentioned the cars were a handful. We saw that. Awesome, right? I mean, this is great. This is what the drivers have been asking for. This is what the fans have been asking for.
Yep.
And I don't know, James, did you see a complaint from a single driver this weekend about these cars being hard to drive?
Nope.
Denny had his tweet. Denny had his tweet on Saturday, but I think it had more to do with Regan Smith going down a slide during the Xfinity race than it did about practice. But otherwise, I think the drivers have accepted that this is what the car is, and I think they're excited about it. And I am. I mean, I think it's great.
Yep. Cars are a handful. And this goes back to what we said too, Eric. I think we're seeing driver talent coming through a little bit here so far, especially with California. Daytona is its own beast, but I'm looking forward. Now we're at the point with this new car where I've progressed from, I'm nervous about this. Oh, hey, that thing looks like it works. Oh, hey, that was Daytona. That was a real Daytona race. Oh, wow, this is competitive.
Yeah.
And look at these guys. Okay, now I want to see what it looks like at Las Vegas. So now you've got me, and I think you and I classify as old school fans. You've got guys like us excited. What's the next race going to look? What's it going to look like? Is it going to keep performing like this? We've got some positive momentum on how the car is performing. And like you said too, Eric, the drivers are excited about it. I think there's definitely some bugs that are being worked out. We'll talk about a couple of them, but those are so minor at this stage of the game because we're seeing the performance that we so badly have missed.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Las Vegas this weekend because I think this is going to be the first example of a traditional NASCAR track that we're going to get to see and really know, okay, was this California or is this a great car?
Yeah.
And I'm optimistic. I really am. I think some of what happened at California is because it was California. Because I think, even with the 550 Aero package, we had a good race at California.
Yeah.
But I think this car is something. I think it's doing exactly.
It's driving. Yeah.
You heard your drivers talk about, still being able to get runs on people despite being behind them.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what that diffuser and all that's supposed to do is prevent the dirty. You're still going to always have dirty air. It's always going to happen. But if you can reduce the effect of that dirty air or change it to where it doesn't hinder the driver behind so much, and honestly, what they seem to have done with this is what they were originally supposed to do with the car tomorrow and the wing on the back is they've made it to where the dirty air it's a disadvantage to be out front more so than it's a disadvantage to be behind the car. So, so I think that's great. And we talked about equalizing the teams. I think we've definitely saw that this weekend. We'll see how it goes throughout the season. Again, you're going to see guys like Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's a talent. Kyle Larson, you put him in an equal car, he's gonna win 9 times out of 10. Right. So it's not surprising to see him get the win here. But you saw guys that haven't been up front run up front, and we saw guys that do run up front struggle. But so that's great.
But and you know what I thought when I typed up this question about being the great equalizer?
Yeah.
You know what I thought of for just a brief moment. Not that it's apples to apples comparison by any means, but when Chase Elliott showed up at SRX,
yeah,
and was at Nashville and he was driving the exact same car as everybody else, that was the race where you're like, oh, that guy should come in there and kick everybody's butt because he's the best driver out there. He's young, he's champ, he is proven right now in his early prime. This is the best guy. He should go out there and win. And with equal equipment, yep, that's what happened. Chase Elliott came, showed up, battled and won.
Yep.
And that's what I like about what we're seeing with this car right now is we're seeing driver talent. You don't know exactly, you don't have one guy like, yeah, Kyle Larson is the best driver in NASCAR right now. He should probably win this race if given the opportunity. And he went out there and didn't have the best day, but was in the right position and took it. Had to earn it and took it. Didn't dominate this race at all. So
right.
I think that's again a positive sign. If Kyle Larson wins 7 races this year, that's not a disappointment on the end of the car not being close to equal. It's just he's the best. We expect Kyle Larson.
Yeah, is there anybody here at this point that doesn't think that Kyle Larson is the best driver in NASCAR right now?
Exactly. He should win. Yeah, he should win 5 races a year for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the best. He's the champ, and that's what's going to be.
He should be in the Final Four every season for the championship.
Yeah. Kyle Busch had this type of run recently too. A couple of years ago, and showed up and kicked everybody's butt. And but I think. I'll go back to saying like Eric Jones and Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick and Daniel Suarez. I mean that, and I should say too, Eric Jones's stuff is affiliated with RCR,
right?
So that was another good sign too. I mean, RCR as a total was having a good day.
Yep. So with all the positive, lots of great things to say about the car, lots of great things to say about the racing.
We got to tread lightly, man, because I don't want to knock too much, but there are some issues.
Well, we can tread lightly, no pun intended. We're having some tire issues, James.
Yes, we are.
So we talked last week, and we kind of beat around the bush on the interliner because I didn't realize there is no interliner on these tires. That is not something they can do with the low profile tires. Goodyear says they can't do it. So we've kind of taken a step backwards in tire technology, and with low profile tires and cars super low to the ground and no interliners, what happens is if you blow a couple tires, you're stuck. Yep. And we're talking guys going down 6 laps, 5 laps because of a flat tire. It's a problem. I will give my argument here, as I've done before, that if you want to solve that problem, don't spin out. but I will agree that you should not be penalized 6 laps for spinning out and not hitting anything.
Well, Tyler Reddick didn't spin out and he blew a tire.
That's true.
And that was not.
Well, he was not punished because of the tire. He was punished because of the bonehead that didn't stop behind him.
Well, the tire, he was.
He was still rolling when he got hit, James.
Yeah. I feel like the risk level of a tire blowing versus mechanical failure should not be the same penalty.
Yeah.
You lose a lap if you lose a tire, fine. Or you go to the end of the line if you lose a tire and you can drive it back, fine. That because you got 4 of those things and they're actually touching the racing surface, so a lot of things can happen there. So I just don't think that a tire, as fragile as a tire is, I know these tires hold up and they're strong and they can do a lot of things. They're still rubber tires with air, so if they fail, I just don't think that it should eliminate a driver.
I'm a little concerned because I think the best invention in NASCAR over the years, I mean, even above safer barriers and Honda's devices, was the interliner. I think we saved a lot of drivers with interliners, and it really kind of scares me when you're talking going into turns at 190 miles an hour, and now you cut down a right front and you're straight into the wall.
Yeah.
That scares me a little bit. And yeah, the wall's a lot safer than it used to be. Again, no pun intended, but it's scary. It's a scary deal. Obviously, NASCAR and Goodyear feel like that the compromise is worth it, but we got to fix this to where A, we aren't stuck on the track, and B, we're not destroying these cars when we try to pick them up with a tow truck.
That was the other point. We have a new tow truck sponsored company that's destroying race cars every time they tow them in.
Right. I mean, do you have a solution, James? Joey Logano says that
I like his.
He says they should have a pit crew on the truck and they can run the truck out there, put some tires on it. Even if he said this morning on the morning drive, he said even if they just throw like a spare tire donut on there to get you to pit road, throw it on there and let you get to the pits and change out to your tires. I don't know if that's the solution, but I guess it's a start, right?
I mean, they got one lug.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty quick. You go, you rip it off, you throw it back on, and I'll let the driver go.
Yeah, but now you got two cars.
idea.
Now you got two cars spun out there. Who gets it first?
Right.
And now who you're playing preferences.
That's a problem. Yep.
It's an issue.
It is an issue.
Can you take some rubber and put it around the wheel so that when the tire's flat, there's something that'll grip? I don't know. Probably not. It'll probably rip right off.
Yeah, I mean the cars look like they're just sitting and spinning.
Yeah.
At this point,
the problem is that we knew this. I mean, we saw this at the tests last year.
We've tested these cars. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Tyler Reddick tested this multiple times during testing.
This is growing pains when you got a new car. I think that's just where we're at. You can test and test.
Is it a big deal, James? I mean, is this a black eye on NASCAR, or is this just something we got to deal with and say, there's one problem?
We'll deal with it. Yeah, okay. We'll deal with it. I mean,
that's my thought,
Eric,
too. Again, don't spin out.
Yeah, and what we are sacrificing for this problem is what we saw on Sunday at California.
Yeah.
So be it. So be it.
And NASCAR knows it's a problem, and they're working on it.
Yeah, they'll fix it over time. It's just these teams understand.
There was talk they may have a solution for Vegas, so we'll see.
I hope so. Yeah, I do. I hope so. Hopefully these cars can start driving themselves back, getting these, drivers can start driving these cars back. I mean,
the problem is that California is a 2-mile track, and you're losing 6 laps. What do you do at Bristol or Martinsville?
Yeah, when you're down 20, right?
Yeah. So,
exactly.
Speaking of down 6 laps, Daniel Hemrick was down 6 laps in this thing.
And I had to put this in the notes.
Finished on a lead lap in 9th. Kyle Busch 5 laps down. He finished on a lead lap 14th. We saw some incredible comebacks. I mean, I guess you can chalk that up to 12 cautions for 59 laps. That helps drivers get laps back.
Yeah.
And a track where tires are everything, and that will help you a little bit too if you can get on a tire strategy. So.
Yep.
But interesting, just interesting to note that those guys come back, and I know in the NASCAR purists will yell and say, "Well, if we didn't have the lucky dog."
I know. Yeah.
But whatever, we do.
Yeah, so, I just wanted to know it was pretty cool to see. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see guys come from that far back.
Yeah.
And have a chance.
I mean, Kyle Busch, I wrote him off, man.
I too. I benched him on the fantasy team.
Yeah. 14th place finish. That's incredible.
Yep, exactly. Good day. I mean, give Kyle some and that team some love. I mean, that car could have completely blown up, and they kept tinkering with it all day, and Kyle kept driving. He just kept driving.
Yep.
And got himself up there to make a couple of positions. So
yep.
Could come in handy. You get some points in the bag.
Right.
Never know.
Let's see what else with this one.
Kurt Busch passed 133 cars.
Yeah.
there was that. Yeah, that was a good one. Justin Haley pounded the inside wall on the last lap, and they kept it green. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was rough. Brett Griffin wasn't particularly thrilled about that.
I was screaming, "Let it go, let it go!"
Yeah, I wanted
they
to
let
go
it
too.
go. I was like, "Oh, thank God."
Kyle Larson, this is his 17th victory in the NASCAR Cup Series. Second victory and 4th top 10 finish in 8 races at Auto Club Speedway. Austin Cindric, when in 12th place, was the highest finishing rookie. Hendrick Motorsports leads the NASCAR Cup Series and wins at Auto Club Speedway with 12 victories. And 32 lead changes is third most all-time in the NASCAR Cup Series at Auto Club Speedway between 2014, when they were 35, which is the record, and 2008 when they were 33. So,
wow, yep, cool.
There you go. So James, we got a little tidbit dropped at the beginning of the broadcast on Fox, where Mike Joy noted that the planned reconstruction of California or Auto Club Speedway has been put on hold. So, what do you think? Are we ever going to see a half-mile track here, or are we sticking with the 2-mile in California?
I think we'll eventually tear it down, and it'll be a short track.
Nope. It is going to be 2 miles for good.
NASCAR is going to look at this and go, "Oh, we're going to repave this place, or we could just spend a little extra and make it a short track."
No,
come on,
just add some banking. Track. Add some banking. We're going to go to Atlanta, and it's going to be such a success that we're just going to add banking here and make another super speedway.
Boy, you're.
How many years? How many years do you think we can
reaching.
get out of California right now? I think until they repave, nothing's happening until they have to repave it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Don't touch it. Let
At
that
least
pavement,
give it another year.
well, let that pavement age, man. That pavement's 1997, so
I mean, it didn't look like it was coming up at all. It didn't look like it was Atlanta type surface. I think we got
bumpy as hell.
We got some years left on it, I think, James.
I mean, if they're super crossing it down the backstretch, we might have to,
Here's my question: why can't you take a track like Michigan that sucks and just grind the hell out of it and make a porous surface like this?
I thought about that too.
Because Michigan would be just as good as California if you just made it rough.
Right?
We don't need it to be smooth anymore. We don't race IndyCar there.
Yep. Yeah, Michigan, they made it. I always wonder every time we go back, like, what did the winter do to this place?
Right.
And, it
hasn't done enough. They did too good of a job paving that freaking place.
That bad boy is glass still. So
they took whatever technology they used in the asphalt when they did that track. It was just the wrong time because they made it too good.
It. Yeah, they didn't ruin it like they ruined Texas, but they've definitely. Oh, they did too good of a job, like you said. Too good of a job.
Yep. Who knows? Maybe the car will help. I don't know. I think Auto Club, as much as I kind of thought they went the wrong direction with the banking, with less banking at Auto Club than they have at Michigan. Mm-hmm. I think the lower banking has made it better because they have to lift. Yep. Michigan, they don't have to lift. So Michigan, it's not banked enough to be a super speedway, but it's banked too much to have to lift.
Well, if you're excited about Atlanta, Eric, wait till you see Michigan.
Yeah,
maybe
we'll see.
I don't know. We'll see.
I still think it's going to be a problem, though. I still think it doesn't have enough banking to be Atlanta.
I just think what we are seeing right now is possibly that Gen 6 car was junk.
Yeah.
At the end, and maybe
it's true. I mean, this car could be the savior for all the tracks. We could go to every track this year and be spectacular. So.
Yep. We'll find out.
But I would say we got a couple years in California yet before we see a short track. And I still think, James, there's too many opportunities. There's going to be too many opportunities for short tracks to take a track and make a short track when you could just race at a short track. Well,
and it was so strange seeing Auto Club back on TV because they've sold so much land around it. I mean, did you see how much the industrial park around the track has really been built up since we've last been here?
Yeah.
And it's just a dust bowl out there. I don't know. It was just so strange to see it. So
let's talk about the crowd out there too, James. I mean, we talked about 60, 70,000 at the Coliseum. I think we had more there at Fontana. They haven't torn seats out of that place like they've torn out a lot of places. They used to put banners up, and they didn't put banners up this time.
I'm looking at a picture right now, and it's I say that place was at least 80% full, maybe more.
I think you might have put 90,000 people in that place this weekend.
It was. I'd love to see it. Now I'm looking at the ratings too, and I know people are going crazy about the ratings. But Stern said, Adam Stern, I should mention, Adam Stern has NASCAR Cup Series on Fox, 4.5 million viewers, the second best sporting event of the weekend. The Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns on ABC, 2.7.
Let's note too, we're talking about the resurgence of NASCAR and the popularity of the season as the season starts off. We're giving a lot of credit to the car and the racing, but let's also note the fact that the IndyCar series,
was up.
They had their best season opener in 11 years this weekend at St. Pete's.
Let's all thank Formula One and Drive to Survive, because
or COVID, and people are excited about racing being back to normal. I don't
know, man. There's a lot of interest in motorsports. It's pretty crazy.
It's not all because of Formula One, though. If it was all because of Formula One would be getting the freaking numbers too. And they've gone up, but it's still a basically free broadcast for ESPN. It's interesting. It's definitely some momentum we've got going here. So let's hope we can continue it. Right now, we're clicking on all cylinders, man. NASCAR is doing exactly what it needs to do to retain those viewers.
Yep.
So
loving it right now.
Now we're giving a lot of credit to the great racing of the new car, but the Xfinity Series wasn't too bad on Saturday either, James. Cole Custer, man, comes with Bobby Dotter's car and gets a win. Yeah, it was a Stuart Haas car pretty much with Bobby Dotter's name on it, but still, man, gets himself a win. Shows, what do you think, and they mentioned this on Door Bumper Clear, what do you think Riley Herbst is thinking when Cole Custer comes in and jumps in the car and just freaking smokes the field.
Boy, I hate picking on Riley Herbst because he's trying. He's trying.
Yeah.
He had a good
so
day.
Are a lot of guys, man. Ty Gibbs, man, he sucked. He only led 3 laps.
We laugh at Cole Custer sometimes too, but that guy you put that guy in an Xfinity Series car, he can wheel it. Man.
He finished just out of the top 10 in the Cup Series too. So
he's good, man.
Yeah,
Cole Custer's a good driver. He won 7 races in a season not that long ago.
He led 80 laps on Saturday to get the win.
Man, yeah.
First and second in the 2 stages.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah,
super good. Gregson gave it all he could.
Yeah.
But he just didn't have anything for Cole that day. So what are you gonna do?
James, Sunday's Cup race, 400 miles, 200 laps, was 3 hours and 3 minutes and 7 seconds.
Oh boy.
Saturday's Xfinity race, 165 laps, 330 miles, was 3 hours, 5 minutes and 5 seconds. The Xfinity race was longer than the Cup Series.
Well, when you have to clean up a desert on pit road, thanks to Brandon Jones, that's going to happen.
Do you think NASCAR regretted the decision to hold that caution that extra half a second when he hit those barrels?
Oh, God. Yes. Yes, of course. God, they should have let the guys cross the line and then waved it. Good Lord.
What
a mess.
That was a mess. That's why the JGR cars were overheating, was all the sand they kicked up on Saturday.
Did they not? That's probably true. Did they not used to put water in those things?
I think we're better off with. I think the sand absorbs the impact better than the water does.
Yep.
And I would assume that if you spring a leak in a sand barrel, it's not going to leak all the sand out like the water would.
Yeah.
But
you remember when you've seen my tickets at where I used to have met at MIS at the end of pit road. I remember cars hitting those barrels there, and they were water back then.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who hit them, but it wasn't Mark Martin when he hit the pit wall in a different crash. But those were water back then, and I just didn't know that we changed them to sand.
I know we did tear some up at Watkins Glen a few years ago. As long ago now. Yeah. Sam Hornish ripped into
Sam Hornish. Yeah,
that was some sand flying.
Boy. That was a bad crash.
I mean, it comes down to anytime you have an end of a wall, you've got to put something there.
Yes, you do.
The sand makes a mess. We know the water makes a mess. They had the attenuator at Indianapolis that we put an IndyCar into last year, and that made a mess. There's just no good solution. Everything's going to get damaged.
You got to save drivers' lives.
Exactly.
Well, and if you don't block it, like I mentioned before, you have the Mark Martin crash, which could have killed him.
Yeah,
literally could have killed him.
I would rather have to spend an hour cleaning up sand than having a driver get impaled on the end of a concrete wall. So
exactly,
we'll take it. But yeah, it was a mess, and this was a wild one. We had 12 caution flags for 58 laps in this one. 58 laps out of 165 were run under caution.
Oh, jeez. And a 23-minute red flag.
Yeah. So I know we had some wind issues Saturday, which contributed a little bit to the wild practice and qualifying for the Cup Series as well. But I mean, again, we had a wreck fest at the end of this thing, especially. We didn't run. I mean, neither race this weekend we ran long green flag runs. We didn't have, I don't think, green flag pit stops in any race this weekend.
Longest green flag run was 27 laps.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
So, I mean, I think this was a good race. I think they put on a good show, and how about Trevor Bayne, man?
I was waiting for it. That's your boy.
Third place finish. Yeah, I was ragging on him, but I mean, I guess you put him in the 18 car. You know what happens in the 18 car, but yeah, good on him to be up front all day. Led 24 laps. Won the first stage.
Is still a good driver.
Yeah.
I know he had his issues at the end of his Cup career, but he's a better than average guy.
Well, I mean, you can argue whatever you want about Trevor Bayne, but he ended up in a Roush Fenway car, and they weren't good.
No,
they just weren't.
Not good.
And I don't think we realized how not good they were back then, but it definitely showed over the years that they struggled, and I think he got stuck in a rut that he couldn't get out of. And yeah, I think he's a better driver than what his. You don't win the Daytona 500 because you're lucky. The guys that win the Daytona 500, maybe other than Derek Cope, are generally drivers that are really good drivers.
Listen, you could say he was lucky, but he had to be in second to get the flat tire break that he got.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. What else?
Well,
What else did Derek Cope do?
We
Not
rag on
much.
Derek.
Not much,
Yeah,
man.
we rag on Derek Cope, but he had a moment.
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
One. That was it.
He won more than one race.
Hey, he's the first driver I ever met, Derek Cope. So,
God, that what's funny is Derek Cope gets he gets so much crap. But he's also been racing into his 60s.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can't. He's an easy target.
Do you realize he won 2 races 10 weeks apart in that season, and that's it? That's the total for his wins. He won 2 races that 1990 season. Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway,
we're spending too much time on Derek Cope.
Yeah, we've talked about him enough in this podcast.
He had 2 wins and 6 top 10s that season. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I have a question, James.
Hit me.
How in the world do you take a car with fresh tires when nobody else has fresh tires, start on the front row on the last restart, and still lose the race?
Tell me, Eric.
Well, your name has to be Anthony Alfredo.
The sauce.
I don't know, man. I can't believe he finished 5th in this thing. I cannot believe he finished 5th. Yes, Custer was good, but come on, man. You had every advantage you could have.
A guy who was in the Cup Series all of last season.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can't explain that one.
No offense to Anthony Alfredo, but maybe offense to Anthony Alfredo.
He can't accept his better nickname. He will not go by the sauce.
Kind of like Brian Scott to me. I mean, just he's there. I don't know.
Michael Annett.
Speaking of Michael Annett, Michael Annett's car, Sam Mayer, did pretty well. 6th place finish for him.
Yeah.
Josh Berry ran up front, finished 4th. I mean, Junior Motorsports cars were good all around. Justin Allgaier finished 8th. And he was definitely in the running, led 7 laps in the day.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Allgaier was good all day. He just was never as good as Gregson.
No.
That was the thing. Gregson was always better than Allgaier, just enough.
Yeah. Gregson has quickly become overqualified for what he's doing now. All of a sudden, like, it happened really fast.
So where does he go next year? Where do you put him?
Can't race for Weird Motorsports.
Got to go to Cup, right? He's not running another year in the Xfinity Series.
Well, I mean, he's not doing himself any good.
I mean, I guess he's driving for Kaulig this year. Is that where he goes?
Maybe.
I
don't know. I mean, unless AJ Allmendinger, I don't know. I gotta get a chart.
If AJ's not full time in Cup this year, I don't think AJ's full time in Cup. I don't think he's going back full time in Cup.
I mean, he's only 23, so
yeah.
But this is his 5th. This will be his 4th full time.
At this point, you're wasting Gregson's years in the Xfinity Series. He's hit that maturity level now where he doesn't need to still be in the Xfinity Series. Finish out the season and move him up.
This is my John Howard Nemechek argument that I continue to have.
No, I'm with you.
He's just wasting time down here. And Noah matured so much over the last 12 weeks of last season.
Yeah, definitely.
He really, really grew up that stretch run last year and could have won a championship. Like, he had a really rough start to that season, and all of a sudden he flourished. Right now he's on. I mean, he's 2 for 2 as far as top 5s are concerned. He'll be just fine. He's go win the championship. I mean, that's really all he can do right now. Is go win the championship.
Yeah.
So that's it. Go do it. Go get it done. And then I don't know. He'll earn his way into a ride. Maybe maybe Eric Jones or somebody or Ty Dillon. Maybe he gets a Petty GMS ride. There's a chance there. One of those guys moves on. There'll be opportunities for him.
Yeah.
Something will happen. That's the thing about NASCAR silly season. Something always happens.
That's true. I picked on Riley Herbst, but he did finish in the top 10, finished in 9th place, and 10th in stage 2. So he did get himself some stage points as well. Yep. Ryan Sieg with the top 10 finishes 10th. Brandon Brown in 11th. Good run for him. You mentioned Ty Gibbs. He led 3 laps, finished 5th in both first 2 stages, but which was never really a factor all day.
Yep. This might be his worst race of the season.
Yeah.
Could be. It's all said and done.
It's pretty good. 13th.
Yeah.
Joe Graff Jr. finished 15th. Kyle Weatherman 16th. Jeremy Clemens 17th. Kyle Sieg 18th. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you wreck some cars, but
yeah, guys creep up eventually.
Yeah. James's buddy
Sheldon Creed
was in an accident, finishes 32nd.
Poor Sheldon.
Landon Castleman, he ran 6 laps before he blew up. That was rough.
Yeah.
So
Maybe next week.
Yeah.
It's all right. He'll be all right.
Anything else with this one worth mentioning? James's buddy Austin Hill finishes 27th.
Inside joke. Thank you.
Let's see. Anything worth mentioning here? Austin Hill, by the way, with that 27th place finish, was the highest finishing rookie.
Yikes.
SS Greenlight Racing is Bobby Dotter's team. It's their first win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. That's Cole Custer. Believe it or not, that is only Cole Custer's 10th victory in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, but not really that many starts.
Well, 10th out of 106 starts, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. he's almost at 10%.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
One every 10 races. Yeah.
Let's see. I think that pretty much covers it.
Excellent.
So there you go.
California Auto Club.
Yeah.
Rear view.
Leave her in the rear view. We'll be back there on the 2-miler next year. And see what happens from there. I guess the best way, if you want to fill the seats at California, just call every year the last race on the 2-mile track.
Yeah.
And then we'll just never change it. It'll always be the last race on the 2-mile track.
Maybe. We'll see where we're at next year.
They did that in Riverside for a couple of years. I mean,
yeah. And then they turned it into a subdivision.
Yeah, right. That's a mall, I think. I think the finish line is at a mall, which I'm sure is now defunct. So
probably
because just about every mall is.
Well, it could make a racetrack again.
So last week, James, in our news, we talked about potential penalties for tire issues at Daytona, and we got the news this week. And I'm gonna get on my soapbox here, buddy, because NASCAR did not penalize.
I've been waiting for this too.
They did not penalize Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing or Penske Racing for modifying the wheels before the Daytona 500. However, they did punish Kaz Grala and Justin Haley for losing tires during the race. Justin Haley has lost crew chief and 2 crew members suspended for the next 4 championship series races. And Kaz Grala's team lost 2 crew members and crew chief as well for 4 championship series races. NASCAR did clarify that those are 4 races in the series, in the schedule, not 4 races that they've entered in. So if one of those teams does not run certain races, they do not lose their, they do not have to continue the suspension past those 4 races. So, you argued last week that they should not penalize, the teams for modifying the wheels. I believe that was your argument, right?
Pretty much.
And I said NASCAR should throw the book at them, and you were right. But
I feel like I won.
So, well, I'm going to ask you though. You okay with these 2 penalties?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I'm not.
If NASCAR comes back and their decision is, we have to change the rules around these tires for safety reasons, you can't really, throw the book at them.
How can you throw the book at these guys then when Brett Griffin says that Justin Haley's issue would not have happened if they could have modified the wheels?
Did they think to modify the wheels?
Well, they weren't supposed to. They followed the rules.
But
the rules said you could not modify the parts.
But I go back to what Brad Keselowski and the Penske guys said. They talked to NASCAR.
Yeah, but how does that affect colleague racing? That doesn't affect colleague racing.
What's the old question, Eric, or the old saying? There's no such thing as a dumb question, right? So if you don't ask it, you're never going to know.
I will say that I would be okay with those 2 teams not being penalized if these 2 teams wouldn't have been penalized. I get the whole losing a wheel thing. That is a huge deal, and it is something we need to stop. But I don't know how you can penalize a team for an issue that wouldn't have happened had they followed the rule or not followed the rule that was set last week that you didn't penalize people for braking. It just doesn't make any damn sense. They should have.
You're trying
all or nothing, man. Either penalize the teams or don't penalize the teams. I would have been okay with not penalizing the teams, but I think these 2 teams have a legitimate complaint when they go to appeal these rulings. And
you're
fighting is appealing
all the convolutedness that is just, it's not possible.
It's stupid. Come on.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Well, that's what we got. We got penalized. Those two teams got penalized because they followed the rules, and the teams that didn't follow the rules didn't get penalized. So
you spun this pretty well. I got to give you credit. You did a really good job.
It's irritating.
Making the argument.
Anyway.
Ask the questions, man. Just ask the questions.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, all the teams this week were drilling wheels out and doing exactly what Penske and Roush Fenway Keselowski did last week at Daytona, because now it's allowed to do. So, next news item, James, you want to take it? SRX, since this is the SRX podcast.
Oh yeah. Well, this is an XR. This is the SRX podcast.
Right, the only one.
The only one. Yeah. So basically, we've got driver announcements coming, and I think there's going to be more this week, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, SRX announced.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Let me guess.
Go ahead.
Bunch of old retired NASCAR drivers.
And IndyCar drivers. Yes, you did it. They actually announced the IndyCar drivers first, and Fat Paul Tracy will be back with Tony Kanaan, Elio Castroneves, and Marco Andretti, and Joseph Newgarden and Ryan Hunter-Reay. So not actually all old guys, Eric. Just 3 old guys.
Right. Now the NASCAR side, though, they're all old.
Oh, the NASCAR side. Let me tell you, we've got my favorite driver, Greg Biffle, coming back. Bobby Labonte.
Is he going to drive the 69 car, though?
This isn't a visual medium, but look at my face. But we already knew this, but it's official now. Ryan Newman will be driving in the SRX series.
There you go.
So, yeah, there you go. There's a few driver announcements. I'm excited to see Newgarden and Hunter-Reay, because those guys are fairly spry. So we'll see how they do.
I'm excited to see Newman in here.
Yeah, Newman's gonna be.
He should be a factor.
Yep.
We know Biffle's gonna be a factor.
Yeah, Biffle can drive. He was good last year too.
Yeah.
For a little bit. I didn't see Bill. I haven't seen Bill Elliott announced or anything. Any of those guys yet. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Tony Stewart.
Bill Elliott may have aged out of the SRX series.
Could be. I haven't seen Willie T. Ribbs either, or Tony Stewart actually, the defending champ.
I just not be surprised to see Tony not do it this year.
Eric, he's driving less and less.
Yeah, I think Tony's getting comfortable in his, in this new role that he has.
He's an owner and he's a husband now, so maybe he just likes retirement.
Speaking of Tony Stewart, one thing we didn't touch on in our discussion of California is we had Matt Kenseth in the booth.
We did.
What do you think of Matt Kenseth?
He was fine. He did a good job.
I thought he was better than I would have predicted he would be. I love Matt Kenseth's sense of humor. It's so dry and so quick. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed him with Boyer in the booth.
I liked when he keyed up Joey Logano. That was really great. Good. Yeah. And did you hear what Joey said afterwards?
What's that?
He said, I felt a heck of a lot safer talking to him on the microphone than with him on the racetrack.
I love Joey Logano, man. I love Joey Logano.
He's on a roll right now. He really is.
Absolutely love Joey Logano. I wish more people loved Joey Logano, but I like him being the heel.
Yeah.
I like people not liking him, but I love Joey Logano. Anyway.
Eric, I did.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I did just double check. I am still blocked by Paul Tracy.
Nice. So, perfect.
Yeah. I haven't. I don't think I'm ever coming off the list. So.
Anything else with SRX right now?
Nope, that was it.
Right.
Just I want to keep people, because Eric, I'm gonna be tuning in every week.
Me too. I'm not gonna rag. I'll rag on it still this year, but I'm all in. I'm all in.
We need to. Yeah, I want to keep an eye on who else is coming on in the series. But yeah, if you're a fan of any of these drivers, keep an eye out. SRX should be fine. I mean, I know one of my buddies is a big Ryan Newman fan. He's excited about this. So
yeah.
So that's cool, man. I hope Tony drives, at least maybe part-time. I don't care if he runs for the championship or not, but I'd like to see him get out there a couple of times, but we'll see. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool.
NASCAR could be racing streets next year, James.
Yeah, man. Maybe. Our buddy Adam Stern had this one as well. It's basically, long story short, it is still very complicated. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background, but NASCAR's goal is to bring a street race to Chicago in 2023. But it's not set in stone, and it's not very certain that this is going to happen. So there's no deal yet.
I don't
So
understand
we're not
why
sure.
we don't just tag on to Roger Penske and IndyCar and try this on a track that's already done first before we go and build our own. I mean, I think we've proven with this new car that I think it's going to race good anywhere.
Yeah.
Actually, honestly, the place I'm most worried about is the dirt track, because it sure as hell doesn't seem like a dirt car. But I think a street course it's going to race really, really well on. I think the fact that it raced well in the Coliseum proves
Well,
that.
can't we? So if it's going to be this hard to go to Chicago and do this, we know one city near and dear to our heart that's going to be changing its location and racing on the street. Why
Right.
can't we explore that option?
Well,
It's not that much farther.
it's also a Penske's track,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's Penske's series, and Penske has a relationship with NASCAR. If the people don't realize it, we're talking Detroit.
Yes. Detroit's moving off of Belle Isle, if you
Yeah,
didn't hear.
which I'm actually a little disappointed about because I think Belle Isle it's a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
But the track is beautiful, and the fountain there, and just the backdrop with the Renaissance Center in the background. I've got a killer photo that I took when I covered that race.
Have we discussed possibly going to hang out with Mr. Jimmy Johnson in Detroit?
No, we haven't. We might have to do that.
A possibility. I don't know.
I wasn't going to put in for credentials, but maybe I should.
We'll might have to have a staff meeting.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, I've hung out with Jimmy before, James. I've talked to him for like 5 minutes.
That's your boy.
I'm sure he'll remember me.
The GOAT. Yeah. Yep.
I think we're gonna be racing the streets with a cup car within the next 5 years. I think that's gonna happen. It's just a matter of where. Chicago obviously is a big logistical thing because it's Chicago, and I mean it's a main drag in Chicago. They're looking to shut down for this race if we run the track we raced in iRacing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we lost the Chicagoland Speedway. I did see that NASCAR just had a job posted for it today. For a part-time groundskeeper there, so it's not gone yet. They're still at least employing people to keep it in shape. I don't know where did you get the thing you shared on our private chat?
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that on Reddit.
Somebody suggested potentially reconfiguring Chicagoland instead of California.
Leave Auto Club alone and make Chicagoland the short track, which that intrigued me. I was like, hey, that's actually
I'm down.
I would do that.
I'm down totally, but I'm down for bringing Chicagoland back the way it was too. I mean, I think this new car and that surface, I think we saw at California. I think Chicagoland would be spectacular with it. But
Yep.
I don't know. The thing is I think NASCAR is aware of the fact that they really screwed the Midwest last year. And I think that they are aware of that, and they're going to try and get back into these markets. So I think
did they? Yeah.
Obviously Chicagoland Speedway is not the place to do it. I don't think Chicagoland Speedway is close enough to Chicago, to be quite honest. It's quite a ways out of Chicago. Michigan hasn't been drawing the crowd, so in 2 races there doesn't make sense. Obviously Kentucky has been a disaster. So, I think that something like this is inevitable. So NASCAR knows they need to be in this market. So give them a couple years and we'll be here.
Yep, exactly.
I don't know how excited I am about it being a street course because I'd really rather go to an oval where I could see the whole track. But
yeah, this is what NASCAR wants to explore. So I mean, we're racing in football stadiums, so here we go.
I'd rather race in a football stadium. I'd rather race at Soldier Field. And hey, the Bears might be moving, so Soldier Field they might be able to just pave permanently.
A joke.
I mean, it's no longer a national monument or whatever since they ruined it with their construction of the modern version of the stadium. So
Yep.
Just tear an end out, make the track a little bit longer, and we're good.
Yep.
The Bears can go suck somewhere else. Anyway, any other news, James, that we're missing?
No, that was the biggest news. Maybe I should throw in there really quick. I saw that Steve Phelps had talked about NASCAR's next TV deal and how owners could get a bigger piece of the pie, which would help alleviate some sponsorship woes. And so funny story to tie this out. I tweeted about this today, so if you follow me there, you probably already know the story. But I was running today, and sometimes I get philosophical on my run, and I'm thinking to myself, Steve Phelps talking about the ownership. I gotta imagine Michael Jordan's going to be involved in these conversations. I just wonder what he'd have to say about this, because he's been in these rooms before as an NBA team owner. And sure enough, I get back from my run, and 1 hour later, there's Adam Stern again. And basically the story is, Michael Jordan's people are involved in talks to help bring potential TV dollars to the ownership side of things. So I thought that was just, I was like, God dang it, Adam Stern took my thoughts and put them into a article. So there you go. I take full credit.
There you go. I did see a note too, and I don't remember where. Just speaking of TV deals, I thought it was Adam Stern that mentioned it, but it must have been somebody else. There was a significant amount or significant number of viewers that watched the IndyCar race on Peacock as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's just something to note that,
yep.
We know there's going to be some sort of streaming part to this contract when we renew the TV contract. So,
and don't cross ESPN off the list here.
Hey man, I'd be down for ESPN Plus. I get it free with Verizon, so it's one less service I'd have to sign up for. That'd be nice.
I think ESPN would.
I agree. They're gonna make a play for it. They made a play for hockey. They got hockey. They they're getting back into all the sports. I think that they'll make a play for it.
ESPN wants to add value to ESPN Plus, and this is a perfect product to get multiple live events over the weekends on their ESPN Plus streaming platform. So keep an eye on ESPN. I think they're going to, especially because they've got F1 now too. I think they might make a play here. So that's kind of what my gut feeling would tell me.
Yeah. I mean, what does Fox do much with, I know they've got Hulu. Do they do much with streaming? They've
got a streaming app, but it's not
like a subscription streaming, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
I wonder if Fox
Peacock is
the one outside
Peacock's
of this deal.
Could be. I have a hard time believing Fox would like to get rid of NASCAR though either.
I think, I mean, they're the only ones that have been there the whole way.
Yeah, for 21 years now.
Yep.
Since 2001. So yeah, they've been there for a long time.
Yeah.
And anchored our Daytona 500 coverage for many years, which right. I wouldn't mind seeing somebody else get a crack at it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. Be careful what you wish for. That's the biggest thing is I know that we've got a lot of complaints about Fox coverage. But like I said, be careful what you wish for. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will be excited to see ESPN back, but I don't know if everybody remembers what they thought of ESPN when they left NASCAR last time. They weren't very well liked. So, but who knows? I mean, whatever network's going to get it are going to bring half of these guys over from the other network anyway. So
they're going to buy them in. Yeah.
You're still going to see the same faces, just maybe in different roles. So,
yep.
Anyway. Let's talk Las Vegas, James. We go to Las Vegas Motor Speedway this weekend. All three series in action. James gets to be the first pick again this week because despite beating me this week on our picks by a whopping 2 points, James still trails by 6. So the first race this weekend, James, is the Camping World Truck Series, the Victoria's Voice Foundation 200. Who do you got for this one?
Give me Mr. Ben Rhodes.
Ben Rhodes. So this is a tough one because I knew James has already put his picks for the first 2 series in here, so I already knew who he's picking. And I had 2 picks chosen for this one, and neither of them were Ben Rhodes. So I have to decide, and I'm actually going to go with my second pick anyway, and I'm going to save old John Hunter Nemechek. And I'm going to go with somebody who performs well here and has a good average finish the last few races here, and always is a factor to finish maybe top 5, top 10, and I'm going to go with Matt Crafton.
Very good. I thought about the old crafty one.
Yeah, Crafton's a good pick for a solid finish.
Well, this is going to be his 26th start. So at this racetrack, which is just crazy.
I know he's been racing forever.
Yeah, getting to be old now.
He reminds me of like Jack Sprague when Sprague raced the Truck Series forever.
Oh God,
Mike Skinner,
Skinner. Yep, he's at that stage. Absolutely.
The Xfinity Series runs the Alsco Uniforms 300. I swear they're like 75% of the Xfinity races are sponsored by Alsco Uniforms.
Yeah, probably now. Yeah.
But who do you got for the Xfinity Series, James?
Well, based on how he ran last week, I'll take Noah Gragson. See what he can do. See what he can do in Vegas.
Definitely a good pick. I'm going to pick back a little ways with a driver that is going to perform well anyway, but doesn't have a major history here in the Xfinity Series, and I'm going to stick with AJ Allmendinger.
Yes.
Here. I'm trying not to just pick Ty Gibbs and John Hunter Nemechek every week. I want to try and I'll save those for when I'm behind.
Sure.
The
It's been close. It's been close both weeks so far. So we're not doing anything. It ain't a bad thing, that's for sure.
Right. The Cup Series is the Pennzoil 400 on Sunday at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I do not know James's pick for this one yet. So, James, who do you got?
Oh my God, I didn't know what to do here. Man, I picked Joey last week, so I really burned that one. I have regrets.
Yeah.
I would have taken him. I was gonna go forward here. I've gone Penske both weeks. Give me Kyle Larson.
All right.
I've got a Kyle Larson to use here, so I'm gonna. I believe he won the first Vegas race last year too. So let me see if I can't gain up on you here and go with Kyle Larson.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with the guy that he beat at Vegas last year, and I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney.
All right, YRB. And that is, if I'm not mistaken, oh, nope, I lied. Ben Rhodes was our first double pick of the year, but Ryan Blaney is the first Cup guy who's been picked twice this year.
There you go.
All right. Don't say it.
What's that?
I know what's next.
Shout outs?
Go ahead.
Shout outs?
No, do your segue. No, the other thing.
I don't know what my segue is. What is my segue?
Fantasy League.
Oh,
man.
that's right. Yeah, because we didn't. Oh, Fantasy League's after Shoutouts and Jackass Corner. I put it in the wrong spot.
I was gonna say. Okay,
no, go ahead. Let's do fantasy though, James.
Let's get this over.
How did you do in fantasy this week, James?
Well, I was second all day, and then Tyler Reddick and William Byron met, and I fell to last place.
I have to look here because maybe I don't have who I thought I had.
You finished second.
I know I finished second, and I thought I had those guys too. And how did they screw you over and not me?
You had well, I'm not looking at your team.
I had William Byron and I had Tyler Reddick. I also had Kyle Larson, which helped. Alex Bowman and Joey Logano.
I would venture to guess your bonus picks must have been 4 for 4, and you got 40 points because that would have helped. Where I only got one bonus pick right, so that might have knocked me out. But our winner, Justin 713, is back. Big win after finishing last week. So he maybe that gives me some hope. He finishes first. Eric, you were second, and Barron Speedway was third. Our championship leader, my brother-in-law Mike, first place still. Two races in, fast to the grass. Our buddy Todd second, and Bird 8U was third. And for a few guys at the bottom of the league, Roger got to get back in there. Raging Redneck, Jay Wint, and Rusty W2. I'll give you guys one more week to pick your lineups. If not, I'll give you the boot.
James,
so there you go.
Chop you.
I'm gonna chop you off at the bottom.
You should leave them in there just so we can't finish last.
Oh, well, I already did finish last week, so yeah.
All right.
God dang.
Shout outs. I'm gonna start first just so you don't steal mine, James. I am gonna give a big old happy birthday to our buddy and James's best friend, Bob Pockris. It's his birthday today.
Son of a gun.
So happy birthday, Bob. I know it's barely his birthday anymore by the time this gets posted, but happy birthday to Bob.
Well, and Bob and Nate Ryan share a birthday.
There you go.
If you didn't
know,
didn't
know Nate Ryan's birthday, so happy birthday,
yeah,
Nate, too.
So yeah, happy birthday, Bob. Happy birthday, Nate. I know you guys are avid listeners of the Super Speedway podcast.
We know that Bob is a follower of James, so
he literally is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I've got that going for me. My shout out this week. Hold on. I want to make sure I get the naming right on Twitter. So if you like J-Ski, you will love at NASCAR Paint on Twitter. NASCAR Paint Schemes. Just random paint schemes from the years gone by on Twitter. I enjoy it very much. So, yeah. It's just random race cars and tells you when they ran and who ran them, and they're awesome.
At NASCAR Paint?
At NASCAR Paint.
That is a follow for me right there.
Yeah, at NASCAR Paint. And there's some good ones on there. He throws some stuff up there. He or she, I should say. I'm not even sure who NASCAR Paint is, but give them a follow. It's, I don't know, if you like a little nostalgia with your Twitter timeline.
That's where you got the old Tony Stewart paint scheme today.
Yeah, I joked that I tried to stir it up and Todd sniffed me out, but I joked that the greatest driver ever to drive the 8 car was photoed here as Tony Stewart was driving for Dale Jr. in the Nationwide Series. back in the day. So yeah, Todd wasn't biting though. He wasn't having it. I tried.
This is pretty cool.
So, yeah, it's just random paint schemes, and it's just like a rabbit hole, as Twitter can be from time to time. It's not angry garbage that is a lot of Twitter either. So
I saw somebody post a 2022 Dale Earnhardt paint scheme with the number moved forward and everything. And as much as everybody was bitching about it, I thought it looked pretty good.
No.
I liked it. I like
Did
the
you
numbers,
share?
man. I like the numbers.
Oh no,
I'm
Todd
happy.
shared.
Oh yeah,
They
the throwbacks with
Dude.
the numbers in the new spot. I agree. That's stupid.
I get grouchy about that stuff.
Yeah. No, if you're gonna do a throwback, you need to put the numbers where they used to be.
You can't change the paint on the paint scheme. I know there's different sponsors. I don't want to hear that. It's a throwback paint scheme, and you're changing the paint by moving the number forward. Leave the number alone.
Moving the numbers has ruined throwback weekend. I will no longer enjoy it.
Ah, good. Okay.
Yep, I'm with you on that. I'm fine with the numbers being where they are for current cars, but with the throwback cars, it should be where it used to be.
Thank you. Good. We
I
agreed.
mean, do you run the throwback cars to the old days? They run the CCI and all that on the hood, just like they used to. Why would you not run the numbers where they used to be? Stupid.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Stupid.
But I'm sure it's a NASCAR rule. So.
Stupid.
Yep. Speaking of stupid, James, you got a Jackass for Jackass Corner this week?
Oh man, there's so many. Oh God.
I got
don't even
one.
know where to start.
I got one.
Go ahead.
I'm going to pick on Fox again. I think it's the third week in a row. I already mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but
Careful what you wish for, he says.
How in the hell do you interview the winner at the start-finish line and not ask him about the contact with his teammate? I get that they were trying to get out because the race was way over time. But who was it that mentioned this week? Why don't they give us less pre-race and more post-race? And I'm totally on board with that.
I do not watch a second of pre-race.
Me neither.
And that includes the Daytona 500.
Yep.
I didn't even could care less.
I turn on the broadcast and I skip to the point where the cars are on the track taking the pace laps.
Super Bowl Sunday. You know what? When I turned the game on, when The Rock was doing all of his yelling, and then I got immediately annoyed that The Rock was interrupting my Super Bowl.
I'll tell you what. Here's my formula for the race. I usually watch on a delay, at least at the beginning, so I can skip the crap at the beginning. I skip Fox going through the starting lineup. I skip the driver interview that they always do because I hate them. They just talked to the guy on pit road. Why the hell are we talking to him in the car too?
Oh, and you got the grid walk with Mikey.
Oh, I never see the grid walk. Actually, I watched the grid walk this weekend for the first time in like 2 years.
He's an embarrassment, man.
I agree. And then I skip right to the first talking head pit report to preview the race. Whoever's on pit road first, that's when I start. Usually about a half a lap left on the pace lap. Coming to the green. That's when I start watching the broadcast.
Thank God. Yeah, good work.
So, yeah, I don't know how in the hell you missed that question in the interview. It just
bad.
Let's stop playing favorites and just ask the damn question. Be real journalists.
Yeah, I know. Yes, please.
So, all right.
Yeah, I have I'll do a throwback Jackass corner. The all-time greatest NASCAR Jackass moment was 10 years ago this week. Do you know what it was?
Was it the jet dryer?
It was the jet dryer.
Nice.
The great moment in NASCAR Jackass history. Juan Pablo Montoya hitting the jet dryer was this week 10 years ago in the Daytona 500, 2012 Daytona 500. Boy.
The race that was scheduled to run on Sunday didn't start until Monday and didn't finish until Tuesday.
Unbelievable.
Matt Kenseth.
God, I was up so late that night. And then when I went to the Daytona 500, that's the car I got to see, and on pit road was Matt Kenseth's winning car. So
there you go.
Oh my God, what a long night that was. I will never forget that as long as I live. I was still living in a crappy farmhouse deal and trying to finish that race, and it was Tuesday freaking morning because the track caught on fire.
It was incredible.
A lot of great stuff that night. Brad Keselowski's tweet.
Yeah, the tweet from the backstretch.
The porter potty races was going on.
That was the beginning of NASCAR Twitter, really.
Yeah, Dave Blaney almost won the Daytona 500 because the track was on fire.
Yeah,
that No.
Probably half the reason that they made sure to get the race back in is so Blaney didn't win the 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, major historical moment in NASCAR for sure.
Yeah, and the greatest jackass moment in history.
Yeah, talk about a black eye in the sport. How about, I don't know what was worse, the jet dryer or the pothole? The pothole was pretty bad too.
Eric, you go to Daytona to this day, and you enter turn number 3, and there is a patch of blacktop on the track that is discolored because of this fire.
James, I'm not a lucky person, but 2010 we had a pothole at Daytona.
Yeah, we did.
2011 we had beautiful weather all weekend long.
Yep.
And other than the tandem racing, we raced and finished when we were supposed to. That was the year I went to the Daytona 500. The year after we had the jet dryer.
Yep.
So,
and the year after that, I went to the Daytona 500. So we both dodged some bullets.
Yeah, but you got to see Jimmy Johnson win the 500. So
I did, and then immediately crashed his race car in the grass. Yes.
All right,
Good
James.
times.
If people want to hit you up during the week, where can they find you on social media?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes, links to articles we discussed, past race coverage, all of that stuff there as well. You can also find the podcast there. Find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Facebook. Wherever you found us today, we hope you subscribe and continue to listen. Thanks to everybody who's listened so far. Thanks to everybody who has subscribed. We enjoy chatting with you, so definitely hit us up, leave us a comment, send us a message on social media, hit us up on Facebook. James is really good at watching the Facebook feed. I'm terrible at it, so if you're talking to somebody on Facebook, it's probably James. But yeah, hit us up, and we'll be back next week to break down Las Vegas and get ready for Phoenix. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.